Hello, and welcome to today's book group with I Am the Word. And today we are going to visit the chapter Identifying as Word, which is chapter 6. And so I'd love to hear in the comments below how this is going for you, or if you have any questions. Um, up until now, how's it working for you? Um, how did you fare doing the last week's assignment with staring into the mirror and really encountering and having a love affair with yourself, if you will, on with the higher vibrations of word, the higher vibrations of knowing the divine that you are, right? And if this all sounds like rubbish or where she's coming from, yeah, it is a state of mind. And you will get to this point where you will articulate it the way I am. But here we are right now. And I left you off in the chapters of boulders. And I asked you to do this exercise on page 165, inviting you to see yourself in true perfection. Okay. Now, that was just the very beginning of it. And what I want you to do is put a pause on this video right now. And I want you to go get a mirror and then come back, or get your cell phone out and put your camera on so that you can see your face. Okay. So get situated for a few minutes and then come hit play again. Okay. So now you're situated and you're looking into the mirror or you're looking at your reflection, however you're doing it. Okay. And I want you to know, as you're looking at your reflection, this exercise is the key to everything about I Am the Word. Because you must be able to see yourself as the divine, as the pure perfection that you are, in order to go on and experience this. Okay? And I want you to know that due diligence, loyalty to this process, trusting this process, and practicing it will get you there. Okay? Just keep looking at the beautiful beloved that you are. Focus specifically on the eyes, right? Because the eyes are the portal to the soul. And see, this is what we're appealing, not to the human part of you, but to the beloved soul part of you. Now just keep looking. Take a breath. And I'm going to repeat this attunement that the guides bestowed upon us. Okay? We want you to see yourself standing before yourself as perfect, as a perfect creation with no embellishments. We ask you to see yourself idealized, your perfect body, your perfect physical health, your perfect emotional state, the perfect smile on your face, the being that you truly are in perfection as you realized before you. We want you to spend time observing this person. We want you to imprint this image of this perfect person in your consciousness. We want you to experience them first tonight as something you see outside of yourself from every angle. See yourself before you, naked in your perfection, glowing, beautiful in your wonder and your wisdom as a perfect creation that you are intended to be. Okay, take a breath and just keep looking. looking at those wonderful eyes. And as I talk to you, love, I want you to keep looking at your reflection. And I want you to recall the chapter of wonderment. And I want you to open yourself up to the possibilities. That what you see before you is true perfection. And any of the flaws that you choose to see, which it is a choice, that's all your programming, you know? But it has nothing to do with the perfection that you truly are, right? This beautiful body in front of you is your vehicle in which to navigate in the world of humanity. Or I would say, I wouldn't even limit it to humanity. You happen to be a human in this vast universe, but you're one with it, right? Okay. So you really want to cultivate this relationship with the body, not in a vain sort of way, but in a gratuitous way, right? Because everything that you're experiencing is from this vehicle. And so this vehicle, the beloved in front of you, is very sacred. And according to your creator, perfect in every way. Because that body in front of you is helping you to achieve whatever curriculum, whatever your soul's contract was for this lifetime, right? And we beat it up because it's not pretty enough, and it's not this, and it's not that, and it's not that. But see, we're not here. Our purpose is right now in this lifetime is not for all the materialism, all the matrix, yada, yada, right? In the box. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is the bigger picture, right? The bigger picture of the soul's contract. And some of us are familiar with our contract, and some of us are not. So go back into the state of wonderment. Look at that beautiful, beautiful beloved in front of you. And know that its perfection is everything you need for this soul's contract of this lifetime. Everything you need. It's perfect. Okay? What if? What if my purview or my perception or my projecting onto this body is totally opposite or not? It has nothing to do with its true purpose. What if? And back into the wonderment. So if I arrive at this possibility, if I arrive at this truth, how much easier is this going to make my life? Okay. So the chapter starts off with this, and all throughout it, it stresses. This is key. This is key. You must practice this every day on the hour. You must give yourself that time, right? That time to acclimate, that time to put yourself into the wonderment, that time to put the different Christ view or glasses on and see yourself as perfection. And I'm going to be bringing this home and drilling this over and over again throughout the chapter. But then it goes on to tell you, you know, whether you've lost an arm, you've had surgery, whatever, the body is still in perfection because on the etheric level, the body still remains in its original way that it was, right? Okay. So they just go on to explain. So now you're still gazing right now at yourself. Now I want you, if you want to go to page 171. And I want you to repeat after me. Am I entitled to be my perfect self and a perfect manifestation of myself that translates into physical form? Are you? I know I am. Am I now allowing myself to have permission to believe that this can be so? Put yourself in the wonderment. Look back at your reflection. Practice seeing the perfection, right? Anytime your mind goes to, oh, but these wrinkles, I need glasses to see, yada, 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 all programming, nothing to do with the bigger picture of my soul contract, right? Am I really entitled? Am I allowing myself the possibility of the perfection that I see before me? Right? Okay. It's absolutely for any of this to really work, you have got to identify yourself as word. Now we know word is divine in action. And we know this is all frequency, all energy, right? And if I let one little sliver of doubt or self-deprecation come into the picture, then I've plummeted the energy, right? And so the chapter shares with you some of the wonderful perks of really identifying as word. And they bring in the clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. And what this really is, we have our five senses and we experience humanity through them. But when you experience the clairvoyance, the clairaudience, and the clairsentience, right? A lot of people say this is what the mediums have, the beloveds that can talk to the dead, or the psychics that can tell you the future, yada, 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 right? Okay. You too have these abilities, and some of y'all, upon pursuing them or exploring, may have said, somebody has told you, oh, you could have this, you could do this too. And they're right. It's all a level of frequency, right? And so that's a possibility. That's a perk, right? With identifying as word. Now, the book goes on to tell you also that if you use these gifts in a manner of service for your divine calling, yeah, it'll abundantly keep coming, right? But it's all about staying leveled up and not allowing any of the lower frequencies to plummet. So don't use your gifts. And we want to call them, do we want to call them gifts? Do we want to call them abilities? Do we want to call, what do you want? They're perks. They're perks of identifying with word, you know? Right. Yeah. It's almost like if we want to go back to some of our programming, we either studied in school or we didn't. You know what I mean? But when we did really put all our efforts into it, our grades were better, or we understood the subject better. That's all this is, right? Due diligence. Keep looking at your face, your reflection. Stay with the commitment that what you're looking at is perfection, right? You you are determined to identify with word, right? Okay. So they talk about, how you can use these abilities in whatever way, even for with the programming, with the matrix, or with a higher calling in mind, right? But what they're trying to show you with these abilities is we're all one, right? And so they gave that as an example of how Paul can tap into another beloved's energy. It's almost as if he usurps into their body and he feels the pain that they're feeling. And there he is, feeling the pain and also the reality that the beloved is experiencing. And then he's allowed to share, whatever's going on. And he's also allowed to heal this beloved, right? Okay. It's just giving you examples, right, of how connected we all are. How every one of us, we're one. We're one. We can feel, we can empathize, we can understand what's going on with another person, right? Some of us are more keenly aware than others. Have you ever noticed? Right. Okay. Keep looking at your reflection. It all begins there. I can go on and on and on, and I can tell you all these different stories and different attributes of identifying as word, but it's all about the frequency and maintaining the frequency to hear, not allowing it to plummet. And it begins again with your connection to your perfection. Am I sounded just, I need to say this over and over and over again, right? And they give us examples of religion. And there's no degrading religion. It has its place, but it's also part of the box and it can become very, very rigid. And anything that's teaching you separation of any kind, that, oh, I'm so much better and I have, the way in which I worship is better than the way you worship. Do you see? It's all separation and it's plummeting the energies. And so they gave us a great example of how limiting it is and how expansive what we're doing is comparably. But they're also telling us don't judge, hold the space for these beloveds exactly where they're at. It's just truth that's kind of gone awry intentionally and unintentionally sometimes, right? I know with my own programming, I never was out to convert or change anybody, but it sure halted any kind of growth for me because I was stuck in the guilt and the shame part of it, right? Now, can you see how that is creating a boulder, if you will, how it gets in the way of the flow of me identifying with my perfection if I'm feeling guilty about something, right? Okay. I think yeah, at one point they started calling the abilities or the gifts skills, right? And that's a great word for it because you can always hone in on your skills. You can always improve your skills, right? Okay. So we're going to go on to page 182. And what we want to do is we want to talk about our spirit guides right now. Okay. But he's like, huh. And every one of us have our own guides. It's almost like a committee, if you will, on the other side. And this committee or this spiritual posse that you have, they're there in their own involvement, right? They're not like a fairy godmother that's, changing things for you. No, these are beloveds that are on their own spiritual journey. And part of their assignment and part of their journey is to be into this committee guiding you along the way in your humanity, right? But we don't get that memo. We think they're going to do some type of magic or whatever for us. And I know I've done this. I've been very angry at times, telling my guides, declaring, I'm doing my work on my end of it. You're just not showing up, just this anger, right? Projecting on, right, to them. Um, and so I want you to keep in mind there's a constant evolution going on. You know, we have a tendency as humans to strive and strive and strive to be at the top. And the thing is, there's never a destination with this. It's an evolving journey all the time, right? And it's important to know that this evolution is going on the other side as well, right? Those guides are there working uh, diligently, loyal to you, because they're going to benefit as much from this as you are. So keep that in mind and call on them. They're there. Okay. But this is what we have to talk about because we're talking about energy and frequency with everything. You have to be energetically aligned to be able to receive that guidance with the guides. And then when you're receiving it, you have to be aware of it. I'll give you an example. I have, when I'm going to one certain place that I go all the time, I go over a bridge and I get on the highway, right? Now, I have two ways in which to get to my destination. I can get on the highway and go there, or I can go straight and I can take, it's almost like a back road, if you will, on up this way. So I have a choice here. And I could be at the red light waiting to take the left turn. And had I listened, the guide said, take a look at the highway because it's back to back to back, right? Now, guides are trying to communicate with me, right? But I've got the radio on, listening to a song, doing whatever. Person in front of me is annoying me because he's going so slow. Hello, the light has turned green for how much longer, right? I'm just lost in the matrix and I fail to see the obvious. And the guides have tried to tell me you're going to get stuck 10 minutes on that highway. Whereas if you would just go straight and go the back way, you would get there. So it's not that the beloveds they were clearly communicating with me because I felt that tinge, but I was not aware and I wasn't listening. I got on the highway and I was stuck there for 10 minutes. Think of times when you have had that urge to listen, right? Just that intuition telling you to think otherwise, but you're so busy immersed in your drama that you're not in the present moment with the divine that you are, right? Because if I'm in my perfection, then I know the universe has my back. I know my guides have my back. So why am I in automatic pilot, just doing, right? Instead of being connected with the divine that I am. So I hope this makes sense to you. Okay, so I want you to turn to page 182 or keep looking at yourself, at your beloved reflection. I am now choosing to hear myself, to know myself, to communicate with myself in the higher frequencies. I know what I know, and the fear-based voice is being replaced once and for all by the higher self, the Christ itself that knows who she or he is. I am word through this intention. Word, I am word. Right? So these are great, great affirmations, great declarations, proclamations, right? No, when you say this, you always invite your guides in, and the guides of the word, right? And so now you really got a tribe or a team pulling for you. Okay. I'm not real sure where it was, but I think it's important to bring up. If you ever feel like you're at a plateau, then no, it's this simple, okay? Everything is vibration. Everything. Energy, vibration. So you're in a plateau. Meditate and just allow it to be. It doesn't mean that your growth is stunted and that you're not going to go any further. It just means that you're at a place where there needs to be some contemplation. There needs to be more experiences because this is all experiential, right? It doesn't mean that you're in any way regressing. Okay? Yeah. It's important for you to know now that you've read this chapter and now you're listening to this and you're really immersing yourself into this. That the guides have set forth these attunements. And so it is done and it is happening right now. So now, if you're in a tumultuous spot and you're not experiencing peace or oneness with the beloved and the divine that you are, you've made this decision. You've clearly made this decision. And so what's being brought forth to you are opportunities in which to commit, stay the course, or recommit, or revisit, because you have said yes. And so now that you've said yes, the universe keeps giving these different scenarios. Now, if you're experiencing a lot of discomfort, it's because go question yourself and figure out, am I being loyal enough to this? Committed enough to this? Am I taking this serious enough? Right? Because everything's frequency. And now you've invited these high frequencies in, but you're playing here. The universe is going to give you one scenario after the other to help you elevate up to here. Okay? So we're going to take one more attunement on page 189. Okay? Go ahead. Either continue looking at your reflection or join me on page 189. I see before me a bridge, and this bridge leads me to this next stage of my evolution as a conscious being. On this bridge, I see before me my perfected self. My perfected self reaches a hand out and guides me across the bridge, one step at a time, affirming that we are one energy and we can be merged in a perfect way. And as I step off the other side of my bridge, I see before me my perfected self in all its glory, a manifested being, a high consciousness and perfect light. And my arms open to embrace this beautiful thing that I now know to be myself in truth. And I merge completely with my higher self, with the Christed frequency that I truly am in spirit. I become one with the Christ in myself, as myself, with myself, and through myself. I am word through this intention to merge completely with my Christ itself. Word, I am word. Take a deep breath. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel a tingling vibration when I do this. Okay. Remember when we talked about clairaudience, clairsentience, and clairvoyance? We're talking about the skill sets, right? The skills, okay? So take a breath. Once again, look at that beautiful, divine, perfect image in front of you. Okay. And so we've invited numerous times the energy and the identification as word. And what we know is the more we can see the perfection in ourselves, the more we can see the perfection in others. And remember, I gave you that example of how Paul, it's almost like he could go into that beloved's human being's body and feel the pain so that he could tell them, what their diagnosis is or what's going on. He could get insight, right? Okay, take a breath on that. Because when you start identifying as word and you're so in love with the divine that you are, you start to identify with everything in the universe. Right? You start seeing the beauty and the divine in everything. Okay. And so on page 192, you can listen to me or you could follow along. And if you are listening, continue to look at the beloved divine that you are. I am now standing on a street corner, and my own perfection is reflected back to me through all that I see. I am experiencing myself as my perfected self in consciousness. And what is reflected back at me is my own perfection. I have wisdom now available to me, and I will ask myself what I need to know. I have understanding available to me, and I will consciously connect to my understanding in a way that will give me the information and knowing that I require. I listen with new ears as I understand the requirements for my own growth. I am word through this intention to know myself, to experience myself as my Christ itself, Word, I am word through this intention. Word, I am word. Okay. So your skill set and able to perceive the divine in everything around you has everything to do with your skill set on seeing the divine and the perfection of you, right? Okay. There's one other part of the book that I don't know exactly where it is, but it talks about putting on a mask, if you will. And we would be like, what? It doesn't seem to make sense, right, at first. But it's not that you are pretending to be the divine, but the deal is you have been so programmed to buy into the five senses of humanity and to think that this is all there is. And so we're inviting you to put this mask on, or if you will, and play in the energy of identifying with the word. Because once you start doing this, that's when the wonderment, oh, wow, that's when the realization, this is real, right? That's when it occurs. And I've had many beloveds in the past come to me and go, I feel like such a fraud, like such a fake. And here's the deal. This is every bit experiential. All of this you must experience. And so, in order to experience it, you have to set up an conducive environment in which to play in it. So, if that means to go on to this masquerade and say, I'm going to play with this today, I'm really going to go out on that street corner and see what this is like. You know, I'm, I'm, I refuse. I refuse to buy into the humanity today and flip off anybody who cuts me off or honks at me or whatever. I'm going out on that corner and I am going to be love and I am going to see love. Now that's not my normal MO. So you see where we're calling on you, just go pretend, go play with this for a while. It's part of the process. It's part of the process as you start identifying with word. Okay. They also are kind of telling you, and I know, well, you can see as I talk to you, sometimes I'm struggling with the vocabulary in which to, convey. And sometimes when you're having a discussion with another beloved about the situation and they're just not aligned with it, the real important thing that the guides are trying to convey to you is if you can't discuss this, keeping the frequencies elevated, then don't do it, right? Because if you start turning this into a control freak way or in any way judgment, in judgment to somebody else's path, you're plummeting your energy, you're plummeting the frequency of yourself and word, right? So there's not a lot of doing in this. It's all about being, right? Put on the mask and be the divine. Be the word in action, right? Identify with it. So I want you to go on page 195 or stay where you're at. I'm going to read it, whatever, resonates with you. All right. Now you're really identifying with word. You are identifying with your perfection right now. I am word through my being. Word, I am word. I am word through my consciousness. Word, I am word. I am word through that which I perceive, that which I hear, that which I know, and that which I understand. I am word, I am word, I am word. So be it. Okay. So, beloveds, I just invite you to go play in that identification of word, right? Put on that costume, put on whatever it is that makes you feel perfection, divine perfection, and go play in that space. Have a love affair with yourself. Have a love affair with this beautiful universe, and know that you're one with all of it. All right? Until next time.